Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my review for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, I really like this movie. I think it's probably the best movie of Marvel Phase 4, in my opinion. But before we go ahead and get into the review, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel for more Marvel reviews. And if you want to help support the channel, go ahead and check the link in the description below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. So thank you all for supporting the channel. Now let's get into my review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So the movie opens up with the history of Wen Wu and the Ten Rings, but they don't exactly say how he got the Ten Rings. It's just kind of like this myth of, different stories and everything, and they never explain like how he was able to control them. But we do get like a really cool fight, an action scene with like using the Ten Rings, and it's really cool to see like a different kind of power set in the MCU. So I do like that. And I assume the rings also give him a longer life because he's lived for like 1,000 years. Although I'm not really sure how they give him a longer life. I guess when you use them or you put them on, they extend your life. I'm not really sure. But then we get this cool artistic martial arts scene with Wen Wu fighting Shang-Chi's mom, Li. And she's the protector, like she's guarding the entrance to the mystical realm of Ta Lo, where she's from. And so it's a really cool, like visually stylish fight scene between the two of them, where she can, like, he's using the Ten Rings, but like she has all these cool moves that she can kind of like counterbalance, and she actually beats him, so that's pretty cool. And then we meet Sean and Katie in San Francisco as like car valets, and we kind of get a sense that from the friends and Katie's mom that like they're just like kind of aloof and not really taking their future seriously and everything. And at least up until this point, in the movie, then they're gonna go off on this adventure, right? And then they come back at the end, maybe a little bit changed. At least Katie definitely, I think, has definitely found more of a purpose. But we get a really awesome fight scene, probably one of the best in the MCU, which is the fight scene on the bus. It's just really cool visually. I like the way it's shot. And, I like the guy that's like commentating and filming it as it goes. Like, that was pretty fun. And it's just a fun scene. It shows off how like badass Sean is with the martial arts skills. Like, you see like he's like super awesome badass martial arts fighter dude. 10 Rings are after him. They try to capture him to get him back to his dad because they want the necklace that he has. So then Sean reveals to Katie his past and everything, and that his real name is actually Shang-Chi. So we get like a flashback showing him training since he was a kid to be like this martial arts killer, and then his dad sends him out on a mission to kill the man who is responsible for killing his mom, and that happens when he's like 14 or something. So he leaves on the mission, and then he never actually returns to come back to his father. He actually just flees to America. Although I'm not sure, like, because he went to school with Katie, so like, did he like somebody adopt him or something? Like, I don't know. or did he like just get taken into like a group home or something? Like, did he just get cycled through the system? I'm not really sure how that works, because he didn't speak English, or his English wasn't very great. But anyway, so then they get on an airplane. They go to Macau, China, and they get this really cool underground fight club. And we see like this former Black Widow fighting one of the extremist soldiers from Iron Man 3. So that was kind of a cool little Easter egg moment. And then we get a cool cameo from Wong from the Doctor Strange movies. Wong fighting the Abomination, who we haven't seen since the Incredible Hulk movie. And of course, that comes back later in Phase 4, but it's really cool to see them fighting here. And of course, Wong pops up at the end as well. And then Sean has to fight his sister, Xialing, because she actually runs the club. So that's kind of a cool little twist. But it was all a trap. Wen Wu sent Sean the card to get him to go there so that he can get, both of his kids. And so Wen Wu then takes Sean, Katie, and Xialing back to his Ten Rings compound. And so Wen Wu then references the events of Iron Man 3 and the Mandarin, which I think they had to do. You have to kind of clarify exactly what happened there and who he actually is. And he doesn't actually go by the Mandarin. He kind of makes fun of that, of being, a silly name. They named me after, an orange and a chicken dish. So that's kind of fun, and it's a great reference. And Wenwu plans to invade Ta Lo because he thinks that his wife's spirit is calling to him from behind the wall. And when Sean refuses to help, Wenwu then has the three of them locked up. Then we get the return of Trevor Slattery, who was the actor that played the Mandarin, played by Ben Kingsley, from Iron Man 3. So it's a really great Iron Man 3 references in this movie, and I think it works really well. And so he's become this court jester performing plays for the Ten Rings and everything. And so that's kind of a funny way to bring him back. They didn't actually kill him. He's actually just their court jester now. And I gotta say, I love that Ben Kingsley returned back for this small role, because it's pretty hilarious. And I love that he thought the apes in Planet of the Apes were real and were actually trained to ride horses. That's just so funny and cute. And so I do love Trevor and his relationship with Morris, the faceless creature from Ta Lo, and that he's the only one that can communicate with Morris. So that's a lot of fun too. And so Morris helps guide them through the mystical forest to get to Ta Lo safely before Wenwu gets there. And then that's when we meet Michelle Yeoh's character, Sean and Xiaoling's Auntie Nan. And she explains the whole history of Ta Lo and the Dweller in Darkness, this demon creature that is actually the thing that has been calling out to Wenwu, because he knows that Wenwu has the 10 rings that can break him free. And I really like Ta Lo. It's a pretty cool place. It's filled with all these cool mystical Pokemon-looking type of creatures, and it's a small little village. And she did say there are other places, but way more advanced. But they had this big battle, and now we just guard this little area. And so I do like Ta Lo. And then Nan gives Sean and Xiaoling a gift from their mother, which turns out to be this really cool dragon scale armor. Although I don't know how they knew to get their measurements right, but whatever. So then we get this training montage where Katie learns to shoot a bow and arrow, and and there's a really cool line where one of the village ladies tells her, if you aim at nothing, you will hit nothing. And it kind of resonates with Katie, because she says, I always give up on things. And so she actually is putting the effort into trying to be involved and learning to shoot bow and arrow and everything. So I do like that as a little character arc for Katie. And I love Awkwafina as Katie, by the way. I think she does such a great job. She balances the comedy with the serious moments at times. I think it works really well, and her relationship with Shang-Chi, I think, is very well done. It's strictly platonic in this. There's room for maybe making it romantic in the future, but I love that they're just really good friends in this movie. So I like that little arc for Katie. And then, of course, Nan teaches Shang-Chi the martial arts moves that his mother Li used to defeat Wenwu in the beginning of the movie. And so we get a really cool martial arts scene with Michelle Yeoh and Shang-Chi, and it looks great. And she, it's almost like Avatar in a little way. Avatar: The Last Airbender. She summons the wind and has the plants floating around her and stuff. And that's really cool. And so I like that. And then we get a flashback again to show how Shang-Chi's mom actually died, and that Sean was just watching helplessly, which is actually really sad. And then Wenwu, of course, is upset, so then he puts back on the 10 rings, and he goes on this dark path of teaching Sean, a blood debt has to be paid by blood or something. And so it's really sad that ended up happening. And then Wenwu and the Ten Rings army invade Ta Lo, and Sean fights him, but Wenwu tosses him in the water, and then Wenwu uses the rings to open up the portal to the Dweller in Darkness. And then the Great Protector Dragon that they had mentioned protects Ta Lo, saves Sean from drowning. And so Shang-Chi then fights his father. And there's this really cool moment where, like, they're fighting each other. But then, like, Sean gets, like, the rings. And he, like, can, like, wield the rings and stuff. And it's kind of a callback to his mom in the beginning of the movie. Like, she had a moment where she could briefly wield the rings as well. And again, so it's like, how do the rings know who to listen to and who can control them and everything. And I like that it changes colors. Like when Wu uses the rings, they're blue, but when Shang-Chi and his mom use them, they're like orange. And I think that's supposed to represent some sort of light and darkness or something. So that's a pretty cool scene, and it's a cool fight. And the rings just look so awesome when they're being used in the fight. But it's too late. The Dweller in Darkness escapes, and his little minions go off to battle the townspeople in the Ten Rings army, while the big one wants to suck the dragon's soul. And when Wu sacrifices himself to save Shang-Chi in kind of a sweet little moment, and then he gives Shang-Chi the rings. So the demon tries to suck the dragon's soul, all while, like, Sean and his sister are, like, hanging on somehow to the back of this dragon, like, that's going in and out of the water and flying around and stuff. But Katie ends up shooting the arrow at the Dweller in Darkness's throat, and that distracts him long enough, so Sean is able to use the rings to blow up the demon from the inside, which is kind of cool. It's a really cool, visually cool moment where he's, like, in the air and he's, like, falling down and using the rings and stuff, and then, like, boom, blows up the demon. So that was really cool. And again, I'm not sure how Shang knows how to use the rings, like, so easily, so quickly, even though he just got them, but it's still really cool. And unfortunately, a lot of people died in Ta Lo from the battle. And then there's this really cool, beautiful scene at nighttime where the village lights all these beautiful Chinese lanterns into the water. And I like that. That's a really sweet little moment. So then we cut to Sean and Katie back in San Francisco telling their friends that we had met at the beginning of the movie all about what happened in Ta Lo. And of course, they don't believe him. But then Wong shows up and he demands Shang-Chi and Katie come with him. And so in the mid-credit scene, we see Wong, Captain Marvel, Bruce Banner meeting with Shang-Chi and Katie about the 10 rings, the actual rings, because they don't know where the rings came from. They say the rings are older than 1,000 years, like way older. But the rings are sending out like some sort of beacon signal to somewhere or someone, we don't know. And so it's a really great, I remember that post-credit scene, like when it happened in the theater, I was like, whoa, it's a really great post-credit scene. Unfortunately, we haven't followed up on it yet. And then at the very end, the end credit scene, Xialing has taken over the Ten Rings organization. So there's some really good credit scenes here in the Shang-Chi movie. And so minor spoilers for the Miss Marvel TV show if you haven't seen it. But there is an episode in Miss Marvel where we do see the Ten Rings logo appear. It's at the site where Miss Marvel's grandmother finds Miss Marvel's bangle bracelet. And so there's been a lot of speculation that maybe the two of them are connected somehow. The 10 rings and the bangle, maybe. You know, there's a big fan theory going into Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania that maybe the 10 rings come from the quantum realm and maybe they were sending a signal to Kang in the quantum realm. Spoilers for that movie, that doesn't happen. So they're not mentioned at all. I mean, is it possible that we find out where Miss Marvel's bangles come from in the Marvels movie? I think we might, but whether or not it confirms if they're related to the 10 rings or not, I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. So, you know, it's just sort of one of those kind of problems that Phase 4 has had where we're going to set up things that have not gotten paid off, and we don't even know when they're going to get paid off yet. And I think that this thing, this 10 rings signal thing, I think there needed to either be another hint, and that little logo in Miss Marvel was maybe too subtle, and that it needs to be paid off soon. But anyway, so I actually really do like this movie, though. I think it's got great action. The fighting scenes are awesome. They're well done. There's also a cool fight scene, like in the scaffolding on the side of the building at the fight club. That was really cool, too. It's some of the best martial arts scenes. It's the best martial arts scenes in the MCU. Like, it's really awesome. And, Shang, with his martial arts skills combined with the 10 rings that he has now at the end of the movie, make him actually a very powerful superhero. So it'll be interesting to see how they utilize him going forward in the MCU. I think Wenwu is a really good villain because he's not really a villain. Like, he's an antagonist, but you understand exactly what he's doing and why and what his motivations are. And I think the whole family drama dynamic between him and his children works really well, So I think, Wenwu, I think, is a really good villain. I love the Katie character. I like seeing Trevor Slattery come back. That was a lot of fun. I think the realm of Ta Lo is really cool, although I'm not sure how this fits in with the actual world of the MCU, because also in Ms. Marvel they mentioned there's another dimension, the Nor dimension. But so how do these other dimensions, realms, exist within the actual world of the MCU? I'm not really 100% sure. But it's still really cool to see. I do think the end battle is a little bit of a CGI monster fest, but I think it kind of works in a way, almost, because we're really invested in the battle between Shang and his father Wenwu, and then Shang using the rings. So I think it works. It was a little bit of a little monster, too much monster battle at the end. But it's fine. I do love seeing Shang use the rings. But for a movie called Legend of the Ten Rings, we don't actually learn all that much about the rings or the 10 Rings organization. So I'm not sure why it's called the Legend of the Ten Rings, because we don't learn the legend of the Ten Rings. Again, they don't actually even explain how Wenwu found them. So that's a little bit weird. But yeah, so overall, I really do like this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of action. It's got really good comedy built out. It's got good family drama dynamics. So I think it's probably the best movie of Marvel Phase 4. Not a super high bar in my opinion, but I do think it's the best of Marvel Phase 4. So those are my thoughts on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Let me know what you guys think. What are your thoughts? Do you like it? There are some people that didn't like it, and that's fine. Let me know what you didn't like about it. So share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned to the channel for more Marvel reviews. And until next time, remember, if you aim at nothing, you hit nothing. Bye.